Join Carol Davies on globalvoiceradio, the host of Only the Best for You. Be a changemaker and unlock the secret to your best life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show, Only the Best for You, here on Global Voice Radio. My name is Carol Davies of the Passion Motivator Coaching Company, and I'm so pleased to share with you the best information and speakers about how you can be a change maker to make the world and yourself the best that you can be. Today, I'm very excited to be interviewing Victoria Myers-Baird, the well-known image consultant from Exeter, Ontario. She has a very interesting company called Beautiful You by Victoria, which she'll be telling you more about later on. But what I want to do is to get right into talking with Victoria so we can find out all the exciting nuggets that she has to share with us. So I am going to say, welcome, Victoria. It's so lovely to have you here today.
Hi, Carol. It's lovely to be here with you. I was so excited when you asked me to participate.
Well, as you know, we have known each other for a few years through, networking events and working together in a couple of courses, things like that. I'm actually quite lucky. I took a style course online with Victoria, and that was an amazing experience. And it just opened my eyes to so much, because for us as entrepreneurs, we have to be open, to change, but it's also very important to know how to present yourself well, in business and even just in your personal life. And that's one area where I'm hoping Victoria will have some very interesting things to share with us. So I'm going to start by asking, why did you decide to become an image consultant and coach?
Good question. So my background, Carol, is actually as a hairstylist. So I've been a licensed hairstylist since 1988. And previous to becoming an image consultant and coach, I owned a day spa. And it was literally from the last 30 years of standing behind a chair and working with women that made me decide to take everything to a larger, more broader platform, because I found as I was aging and maturing, so were my clients. And always the conversation came up about navigating through our life transitions and the fact that our bodies are constantly shifting and shaping, our hair changes, our skin changes. So I found actually that I was doing a lot of what I do now, but from behind the chair already. So I was talking about style, I was talking about empowerment and feeling good about yourself. And I thought it's time for me to take this on a broader platform. It was just timing. Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting. Now, do you work mostly with women entrepreneurs, or do you work with men too?
I work specifically with women entrepreneurs. I feel like that's where my zone of brilliance can really, really come alive. So, and that's what, I just get really excited about helping women reach their potential and feel empowered and excited every day.
And how do people find you to request sessions with you, or, get in contact with you?
Yeah, there's a variety of ways. So a lot of times it's from speaking engagements. So it's me coming to entrepreneurial groups or business associations and doing a presentation, through networking groups, through referrals, through Facebook, of course, through websites. It's about building up that credibility and consistency on many platforms in order for people to get to know me. And then they can reach out to me and, book just a conversation. Really, it starts off with a conversation, and then we go from there, and we decide if we need to work together, what tools and tips I can give them.
And do you work with people only in person, or can you work, say, through Skype or other internet access?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked that, because I know when I first launched Beautiful You by Victoria, I hadn't even considered the possibilities of working with people virtually. And typically it's Zoom. I have done Skype, but I've had clients across Canada and well into the US that have worked brilliantly using a virtual platform. It's been amazing, actually. It has broadened so many avenues for me and the clients that find me through referrals or whatever. It's been fantastic.
I imagine that, let's say, your ideal women entrepreneur client is quite fascinated to get your expertise and advice about maybe how she can, present herself better or change. What do you recommend to people when they first start with you? Do you go into a big program or do you take it step by step?
It really depends on our conversation. I would say it's step by step, and depending on what their needs are, their primary needs is what we build on first of all, and then oftentimes there are little, I'm going to say touch-up sessions, but my objective is really to educate rather than style. So that's why I like using the term image consultant or image coach as opposed to stylist. Stylist is for styling somebody specifically for an event, for a photo shoot, for a headshot, anything like that. Whereas image consulting and coaching is about finding and bringing the woman inside to surface. So it's for me, it's about helping those women embrace who they are right now, not who they were 10 pounds ago or 10 years ago, but who they are right now, and then teaching them to express who they are through their style. Because so often we're in a confines or a box, and we're doing what our friends are doing or the media is telling us to do, the retailers, and sometimes it doesn't work with who we are. So it's really about sitting down and having a conversation and figuring out what is their style. How can we adapt that style to their body type, to their personality, and really bring more of them out to the surface.
And if you have say a fairly new client,
yep,
you want to make, say a major change or transition,
yep,
but they're afraid, how do you handle that, to give advice or support?
It's very individual, and it is a very vulnerable place to be quite often. If I'm coming into somebody's closet, I do have a rule that if somebody wants me to, let's say, go shopping with them, I won't do that unless I've been in your closet. We need to find out what you have first and how to figure out how to make that work or not work, or why it's working or why it's not working, and move forward. I have to say, I think it's really been my experience behind the chair as a hairstylist first, and developing years and years and years of listening to my clients and being able to be a bit intuitive and listening to what's not being said. And I can sense energy very well, that I can make connections very easily and just kind of transport people through that process with the gentle and firm touch. It's finding the balance between both, really. Yeah.
And have you ever had clients that you recommend something for, but they're just not comfortable with it and not able to implement it? How does that affect you if, say, they don't want to quite go the route that you recommend?
Well, it's a process. So it's never from black to white. It's usually a process in a lot of gray areas. So I gently push them to maybe tweak things a little bit. It really is just a tweaking process. That's really what it's all about, and finding the correct balance literally from head to toe between your hairstyle, your outfit, your jewelry, your footwear, and then creating that balance between it all so that you just kind of embody it and flow. I haven't had a whole lot of pushback. Certainly a little bit, but I do a gentle push. I'd say it's a process. It's not from one to the next. We build that into our process together.
And what are some of the areas when you work with a client that you make recommendations where they can maybe make changes? What do you find are the most popular?
Well, interestingly enough, almost everybody comes to the table and asks me hair questions first. So that was really an eye-opener for me when I began Image Consultant, and it's fantastic because, I mean, I've been licensed since 1988 as a hairstylist, so that is my background. I'm very confident with that, but it really showed me that there's a disconnect of communication going on between clients and their hairstylists. So that's usually the first thing that comes up is hair. And then we go into the closets and figuring out, you know, what shapes are working, what colors are working, what isn't working. I take a ton of pictures. I'm very big on a picture's worth 1,000 words. So even if I'm working virtually with a client, I'm always taking pictures on my computer screen so that I can use them as a comparison and show why things are working and why they aren't working. But it always starts, I should say always, 99% of the time, the idea of hair, hairstyle, makeup, skincare, all my background that I always did comes to the surface at some point during our conversation. And I think because most of my clients range between, I'm going to say 35 to 60, 65. So they're in that age group where things are maturing, things are changing, and what used to work in our 20s isn't working anymore, right? It's not as flattering on us. So they need tips for that, literally head to toe. So.
Well, I think it was very exciting to know that, you know, there are coaches and consultants like yourself that women can contact if they want to make, you know, some sort of, you know, changes, because you get to the point in, you know, your business that maybe you have to go out more to, say, networking meetings or business meetings. Maybe you started out as a solopreneur, but now things are developing. And would you say it's a necessary step if you want to promote your business that you put your image as something very important?
Absolutely, 100%. As far as I'm concerned, you are the number one best asset that you have in your business, without a doubt. And our first impression, we have 7 seconds to make a first impression, and up to 58% of that is based solely on appearance. So it is huge. And so when you start showing up, and it's about showing up just that little bit better. I work with women who just want to take things to the next level. So even like I said before, if it's not a huge process, it's usually just a few little tweaks and things that we do together that take their image consistently to the next level, where they start showing up, where they start standing out from the competition, and they're getting noticed and recognized and start attracting, whether it's the right clients, the right team members, the right joint venture partners, and their confidence is built because they are now embodying this next version of themselves, right? Every level has a new devil, and if we want to go to the new level in business, we got to up our game in every way, shape, or form. And I think walking into a room, think about everywhere you go, especially when you're going to network meetings and things specifically for business. You want to stand out. You want to be able to draw in the people that are curious about who you are and what you do. That's a huge advantage. Huge. You're the unique factor in your business. Quite often it's not your product. I'm not the only image consultant out there, right? So I need to make myself stand apart and get the people that I want to be working with to see me. And the same goes across the board for any industry.
No, I have to agree with you there, because I remember it was a year or two ago, I went to a networking meeting and you were putting on a presentation with another colleague. And I was just so impressed by how you looked, how you presented yourself. And it just inspired me to say, I need to, you know, do more in this area myself. So I had never really known a lot of what an image consultant did, you know, before seeing you, you know, with the presentation you had. And I really thought that this is something that I need to do to invest in myself. So would you recommend to, say, you know, women who want to make that difference, how should they go about that? Like looking for a consultant?
Do you mind if I backtrack and kind of share a little bit of my story first?
Certainly.
Okay with that? Because I think it's really important to understand that I'm not merely an image consultant, but I'm also an entrepreneur. And the reason I teach and share with people is because I experienced it firsthand. I had gotten to a place at my day spa where I was very comfortable, and we all get to that cozy place, and we stop putting in the same attentiveness that we did when we first began our business. Or think about when you are first dating somebody and you're always, showing up and looking your best. Same thing happens in business. And after 2 or 3 years when I owned my previous business, I was at a really comfortable stage in my business, and it was just, I was not putting in the same effort. I was not showing up as my best self. I caught myself wearing a hat to work, and I was a hairstylist. I was the face of the business, and I was wearing a hat at least 1 day a week, at least, just purely out of laziness. It wasn't because it was cute and it went with my outfit and it wasn't style. It was purely out of laziness. And we all have different types of laziness, whether it's not doing our hair or not ironing our shirt or polishing our shoes or, whipping your hair up in a bun, like one of those messy ponytails if you have that kind of hair. We all know when we've stopped putting in that same effort. So I made a conscious effort. I won't go into too much detail, but I made a conscious effort because it was time, and I just felt a shift going on in me. So I made an effort. I started showing up. I cleared out my closet. I started wearing the stuff in there that I could still be physical as a hairstylist, but it just took me up. It kicked it up a notch. That's my go-to phrase. I just kicked up my image a notch, and my clients started noticing. My staff started noticing, and they were shifting. My clientele shifted. All these things transcended over a year. But what shocked me the most, Carol, is my sales increased by 144% in 1 year, my retail sales. That's why I get so excited about it, because I think all I did was make a couple simple changes consistently and kept with it. And everything changed to the point where that's what I'm teaching about today. So I apologize, I went totally off a different path, but I think it's really important to know that I've experienced it. I get what it's like, and it made a huge difference in my life when I started taking it seriously and showing up as the businesswoman that I wanted to be seen as. That's what I did.
So I think it's very important that, let's say women entrepreneurs who, are hearing our discussion today realize that it is all about how you present yourself. And as you said before, you are your best asset. So if, especially if, say, you're a solopreneur working at home, you don't necessarily tend to always do your hair, your makeup, dress up, whatever. I mean, how many of us have, sat around maybe in just some old comfy clothes and this and that because we know nobody's going to be there. But then suddenly, if you've got to start interacting with people, what do you do? And it's just what you said, you had gotten into, sort of lazy, comfortable habits, and it wasn't working anymore. And I think a lot of our listeners can probably identify with that. I certainly did, because I used to, for years and years, work for large organizations. It wasn't my own company. So every day I had to, be aware of how I looked. I had to dress nicely, do my hair, have everything together. Then I left the job that I was in and came back and then decided to have my own coaching business. Well, that's pretty much working on my own out of the home. And I do a lot of work, on the telephone or, through email, or sometimes in person. But it was just such a shock to me to realize that, I don't have to do the same effort. That's what I thought, as when I used to be, in a large corporation. I completely went the other way. And a little bit like you said, I had my comfy things and the hair wasn't too bad and this and that. But you feel so much better when you make the effort. And I think we can do things like that just for ourselves to start out.
Mm-hmm. I think I totally agree. And that's really, you know, that's really what it's all about, to make you feel better about yourself. But then the added benefit is that you'll show up a little bit differently and other people will perceive you in a different manner as well.
Right.
And everything is the 80-20 game, right? So when you're starting out, it's, you know, 80% of the time, start putting in that little bit of extra effort. That's it.
I totally agree, because once I had realized that, and I thought I've gotten sloppy, and I started showing up in business in a different way. And then I thought, this is not acceptable, because it just didn't feel right. But once I started taking, you know, pride in myself again, making sure that I was dressed nicely and, you know, had the hair and the makeup, even just for being at home, things were better. I attracted more people.
That's amazing to hear. I'm so happy to hear that, because it's about the energy that you possess then, right? That'll start attracting other stuff into you.
I do agree with that.
Change you want to see in your world.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such an important thing.
Absolutely. If you're not happy with the clientele you're attracting them. What can you change about you, right? This is, yeah.
No, I think that's very fundamental, because you have to make the change with yourself. Yes, you could change your business model. You could, you know, offer this service or another service. But if you yourself are not feeling it,
Yeah,
it really isn't going to work.
absolutely. It's not. It's not.
Because I remember we were, you know, speaking recently, and you said that you have been trying different things over the past year or two, but now you're really finding what direction you want to go in, and it just feels so much better. It's because, like, I work with helping people find their passion or what they really want to do, and yours is very similar in that you want to support people finding out their passion about themselves, to present themselves well, and to be aligned really in their business. I mean, it's very similar in some ways, I think.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's there's a lot of similarities, a lot of overlapping for sure. We just have different skill sets that we bring to the table. That's all, Carol.
Yeah, we're both you know, consultants, coaches, and we try to guide and mentor people. You don't tell them what to do.
Correct. Yeah.
But they're as, you know, to advise and support, because each person really, they say, knows inside what they really want to be like or to express. But sometimes you just have never had a chance, or you're not quite sure how to do it, because the way we present ourselves through our clothing, you know, what we say or do is basic, because as you said, that's how we influence people. So if we're not taking the care and the effort, then should we be surprised if business isn't booming along?
No, you shouldn't.
So I'm curious. You said that you have some ideas about how you like to go in, you know, the upcoming weeks or months. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm just actually in the process of redoing my service menus. So there's not going to be a whole lot of changes, I guess. I'm definitely going to focus more on the entrepreneurial or the professional woman, and there's this new platform that I'm using, which is fantastic. So if I have a client who's worked with me previously, they have the option to be in a club called the Closet Confidant Club, which is a monthly membership, and they have access to me literally 24/7 for any style inquiry. They can send me a picture of something and say, do I wear this to the event, or do I wear that? Or they're in a change room, and which shirt do I pick, Victoria, shirt A or shirt B? And so I'm taking that membership to a whole different level. I'm able to catalog their clothing online. I'm able to do some online shopping and add that to their closet that we both can access online. So I'm very, very, very excited about that, because that can just allow me to work at a whole different level with my clients, a whole different level, because we both have access to it. And yeah, so that's probably the most exciting thing that I have going on as far as new things. But yeah, just revamping things and tweaking, and yeah, sticking with, image consulting and helping women reach their potential by embracing who they are and then expressing it through their style.
Mm-hmm.
My mission.
And are you still intending to present workshops?
Yes.
Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. So I have a variety of workshops. So I'm not entirely sure where your whole audience is coming from, but on April 18th, I'm co-hosting a workshop with a communications coach from London, Jill Ellis, and it is about spring into speaking. So it's about speakers or want to be speakers that are looking for clarity and confidence, and we're going to help them create a wow presentation, create and craft their presentation, and then I'll speak to them about the specifics of addressing, like how you dress to address your audience, and things to be conscious of and stay away from. That's all coming up April 18th. I'm hosting a style and social, which is a fun girls' night in. I've done many of them in the last couple of years, but usually it's people bringing me to them. This time I'm hosting my own, and I will take a maximum of 10 people, and it's literally just a style night of fun, 3 to 4 hours. Every person comes with their number one challenge or inquiry for the night as about style, but we learn every time somebody else takes the hot seat. So with my added advantage, like we can talk literally about everything from head to toe. I have my color swatches there. We do some body type analysis. It's a fun style workshop in a home party setting. So those are the two most upcoming things. And then looking into June, I have a 1-day retreat that I did twice last year, which is Beautiful You Beyond the Mirror. And we spend the morning exploring and doing some self-discovery and finding out who am I now at this stage of my life. And we talk about body image, all kinds of discovery work, let's say. It includes catered lunch. It includes, we go for a trail walk and some silent time. And then the afternoon goes into the style and social, which I only allow 5 people to come. So it's a little bit more in depth than the workshop that I'm hosting with 10 people, but it's a lot of fun. I'm all about keeping things simple and fun this year and in my zone of brilliance. So that's what's looking ahead for me.
I think that sounds quite unique, especially the first workshop you're talking about the communication and style, because often when we think we want to be a speaker or whatever, we don't necessarily think about how do we present ourselves physically. You think about presenting what you want to say or your message, but then it's quite interesting. I hadn't thought of that until you mentioned it.
There's a lot of things to think about, actually, and together, her and I coming together, Jill and I coming together, it's really to help you have that wow factor and your confidence in both areas. And I've worked with, I just posted a video actually last week, you might have seen, where I worked with a woman, and the whole reason she reached out to me, her and I had a relationship. We've known each other for a couple of years, and she's a very high profile, high-end executive. And she said, I did a talk to about 600 people. And she said, I looked at the video footage and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to call Victoria, because I do not present myself on stage the way I want to. So it's sometimes just having that eye to help out make a huge difference.
So actually, I mean, to use, your services, if you're, say, a woman business entrepreneur, it could be just to sort of elevate your game, as you say, at work. I mean, it's not necessarily necessary to change everything in your personal whatever, but, there are always important events that we may have to go to. And I mean, even if you were going to, say, an interview for a new job or something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Things like that. You just need to, you need to know.
You need to know, and you want to feel confident, right? So yeah, often it's just narrowing down 2 or 3 items that I would be my choices and that she feels most confident in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know, like I used to do presentations and training and that, and I always had an outfit that I loved. It had a red jacket, a white blouse, and a dark skirt, and I had red shoes. I felt like $1,000,000.
There you go.
Every time I wore that, I mean, I couldn't wait to do whatever.
That was your power outfit. Yep.
And I didn't realize it, you know, I mean, until, you know, thinking about it now, just intuitively, I guess that one inspired me, but you know, I didn't know what the things you know mentioning to us now.
But you said it. You felt like $1,000,000, and that's what we want to create, right? Is you every single day when you leave the house that you feel like $1,000,000. And if you're stepping onto the stage, or it doesn't have to be a stage. When I say stage, it could be in front of 10 people in a boardroom, but that's your stage. You want to feel like $1,000,000 standing there giving your presentation.
Yeah, because you might be going to a meeting, giving a pitch to get some new clients.
Yeah.
Or you know, maybe you want to get financing for your business or whatever. So you really have to put a bit of thought on that presentation side, not just your facts and figures or what you're going to say, because you know the body language, how you look. And it's as you said, when you feel well put together and everything's great, you feel confident.
Yeah.
And that is so important.
That's what it all comes down to, is feeling confident. That in my life, that's what I think I can give the most is give women their confidence back just by doing the little bits of stuff that I do.
No, I think that's quite exciting, because so many times over the years, you know, we get worn down with people who say this and that, and they chip away at your self-esteem, or you know, you look at friends and compare yourself, and they're better and they look better, and you have to think, well, what about me? And you have to be your own best friend first, I think.
100%. You nailed it, Carol. Comparison really is the thief of joy. We need to focus on what we're doing. Have a couple mentors, certainly, of people that you can look up to, but keep the whatever I'm trying to say, you know, keep the static away and just zone in on who you are, what makes you feel good, the work that you're doing feels good, and stay away from comparing. And social media has not made it any easier, that's for sure. And I don't care what age you're at. If we're looking at people's highlight reel all the time on social media, not their real reel, their highlight reels. So if we can just focus in on what we're doing and how we look and showing up as our best self for us first. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. I mean, I got advice from someone about, went to New York last year and did a 1-hour video. And their advice to me was very similar to what you said. Wear something that you feel good in, do your hair, do your makeup, and everything else will follow. And it did.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful time, and it really gave me such confidence about I can do this again. And I think any of our listeners, you know, if they're hearing this, can say, I can start now, even with just a little thing, even if it's just maybe going to a networking meeting. Let's say you're not used to it, or, you know, going out with some friends, you know, for a coffee or a lunch, that, you know, maybe if you talk with them, you know, you've got something to contribute, and see maybe they can help you, give you ideas. I mean, the sky's the limit, really.
It is. The sky's the limit. I love that. Yes.
And, you know, you mentioned to us that you and Jill Ellis, you know, are presenting this very interesting workshop. Would you have thought you'd be doing that, say, 3 or 4 years ago?
No, not at all. I've been so fortunate and have met so many wonderful, wonderful women like yourself. and been given opportunities. And I shouldn't say given opportunities, I put myself out there. So I've been presented opportunities such as this one. And no, I never really, I had a vision in my head of where I wanted to go, but it's evolved into so much more. It's exciting and thrilling. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just like to repeat what you said. You put yourself out there. So you've taken a risk, and a lot of us are afraid. We don't want to put ourselves out there, get out of the comfort zone. But in many, examples, you have to, in a way.
You have to.
If you stay doing the same thing, you'll get the same results. And if it's not giving you what you want, you're not going to feel fulfilled or happy. And why shouldn't we feel fulfilled and happy? And I mean, just taking that, time to know, what are the good colors for you? What's a great hairstyle for you? What, maybe style of glasses.
Glasses are a huge one. Yeah.
The style of your, say, jacket or a dress or whatever. I mean, those are things totally within our choice, and we can do that. And you don't have to spend a lot of money either. You don't. And oftentimes, like I've said, it's often I'm tweaking and teaching people how to mix and match what they already have in their closet. It doesn't mean that we have to go shopping and spend thousands of dollars. It just means making the most of what you have right now and then plan as you move forward. And yeah, it's just putting your best foot forward with what you have right now to start. Being conscious of it. If we're conscious, I one of the first pieces of advice I often say is get your cell phone out right now, if that's your alarm clock, and set it for 10 minutes earlier in the morning. Because that 10 minutes earlier is to allow you to get ready with some sort of ease and enough time to properly get ready, because life happens. The dog might get sick, your child might get sick, the mother-in-law might call, things happen, and we put ourselves last. So if we can just incorporate a little bit extra time to put in that little extra effort, have your hair done, a little bit of makeup on, your shoes shined, just those little things go such a long way. Yeah, because that way you feel like you're more in control of your life.
Oh, and yeah, it totally sets the tone for the whole day too, doesn't it? When we're living a little bit more of a relaxed manner. Yeah.
Because if we always give our control away to circumstances or other people, it does not leave a lot of reserves for ourselves to be able to give to others. If you're always giving away and saying I don't count, then that's very, very difficult, and it causes a lot of stress. Is not empowering either.
And over a long period of time, you become resentful.
You do.
Yeah.
And I think what I find very exciting with the work that you do is you give that opportunity to work with women to help empower them, but you also are an example of how they can empower themselves.
Yeah.
You give them tools. You know, it could be hair, it could be makeup, it could be, how to choose a good outfit. But once they've worked with you, they've got this skill they can take with them, and they'll always have it. In fact, they probably always have had it, but just didn't know maybe quite what to do. Yeah,
it's the reassurance from my background and my expertise. It's the reassurance. Yeah.
Well, I think that is just such a fascinating career that you've developed for yourself. You started doing something that you loved, being a hairstylist and other things have just been added in.
It's just evolved. Yes.
So, if you can do that, and I mean myself too, I never thought when I worked in the corporate world, I would become, a personal coach or a business coach, whatever. But, I took skills that I had learned over the years, and they all came together just similar, to what you're doing. And with our listeners, they can do the same thing. It's
absolutely.
it's not difficult, but you have to start.
Yes, you have to start, and you have to take a chance and take a risk and risk the fact that you may fail and you may bounce and bruise but you know, I don't want to live my life with regrets. I want to move forward and try things and explore, and that's not failing to me.
I totally agree with you on that, because life is meant to be lived, and
Yes.
I think in the best way that we can, for ourselves, and also I look at it too of being in service to others, to strengthen them, support them, whatever. But the real important person is yourself. And if people get nothing else, as a nugget from this program, it's you're so important, and just value yourself and all your skills and talents, because each person is unique in this world.
That's what makes the world a beautiful place.
Yep.
All unique. We're not supposed to be like anybody else. We're supposed to be unique. Yeah.
I think that reminds me of the name of your website, Beautiful You by Victoria. That's something that's very important to you, is beauty. And it's inner beauty and outer beauty, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. It's beauty is not just the aesthetic. It's beauty is all encompassing, and how you feel and the world around us, and the energy that we have, our high vibration. Once we get to that high vibration, it's about beauty inside and out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, I'd really like to thank you, Victoria, for taking the time to come and speak with us today, and just all the fascinating tips and bits of information you've given us. So how can people get in touch with you if they're interested to find out more?
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you, whether we have a tea or we're doing it over Zoom or phone. They can reach out to me at beautifulyoubyvictoria.com and go into the contact area and just send me an email. I'd love to hear from anybody. I love connection, so that's all good.
Well, that is wonderful. So again, thank you so much, Victoria. And just know that we have so much value from you. And I'd just like to let people know that they can also reach out to me if they want more information. My website is thepassionmotivator.com, and my email is coachcaroldavies@gmail.com. And we are going to get together again next week with another exciting guest. And thank you all so much for being here. Bye now.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern for Only the Best for You with Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio.